Yes, I have a question. So concerning minimizing interruptions and staying focused, what are some creative ideas that you have found that helped you really maximize your productivity?
Keep people like y'all out of my house.
How's that working for you?
And that's a wrap. I think, honestly, in the society that we live in, attention is the new currency. And everything is vying for attention.
Yeah.
For me, I try to be as digital as I need to be and as analog as I want to be. I don't do the iWatch stuff. I'm just not a fan of that. It gets too close to your life. Things through technology is trying to always create distraction. I feel like we're a Sesame Street generation, right? Where Sesame Street changed every 2 minutes to keep your attention. And so we've learned, I think, to jump from thing to thing to thing, and to quote unquote multitask, which is a lie. Nobody can multitask. All you're really doing is multi-slicing. You're dealing with one thing for the second, one thing for the second, one thing for the second, and you're bouncing back and forth. And statistically speaking, it takes you 24 minutes to recover from any distraction. So if I come in and say, some people are like, well, I have an open door policy. It's like, well, you're crazy. Because that means somebody comes in and asks you one question.
Right.
You've lost almost a half hour of your productivity because that person just barged in on you. So I think the greatest thing is to have a schedule and to be able to get rid of technology. Because technology, the actual definition of technology is really systems and structures that are to help you do something. That's really what technology is. So, anything is technology. Most people think technology is just this stuff, the digital stuff. But technology is a paperclip. That's technology. That holds papers together. And instead of you having to hold it with your hand, the paperclip is the technology. So I think you have to learn which technologies really work for you, which ones are real time improvements, which ones helps keep you focused, and which ones aren't. You know as well as I do. You go on your laptop, right? You pull up a web page because you're researching something, and then something pops up, the 10 biggest celebrity homes in America. Like, oh, what's that? Boom, you click that, and 2 hours later, squirreled up into something totally different.
Yeah.
So if you know those types of things, then you begin to set yourself up in a way that you can stay focused, because everything is jockeying for your time. My phone very rarely rings because my phone is off. My voicemail is full. I've worked very diligently to leave all these messages on there for my voicemail. So, because when people call me, they can't leave a message now.
Right.
They got to text me.
And so what I really hear you saying is how intentional you are.
Absolutely.
Like you have to be, because I think in this day and age, and you talk about a lot of this and go way more in depth in the LSM, and I think what I hear feedback-wise is that it's like the most powerful, mind-blowing portion of the LSM, because you can become so ingratiated in social media and technology, and it seems so subtle, but it's really not. And they're intentional about ingratiating us and making us do these things. It's like people on Facebook, and you're like, oh, I'll download this app and let me try this, and next thing you know, you're on there for 2 hours. And so I think for you really teach in that class how to be extremely intentional, like you said, about what is going to benefit you, and then what are the things that are not beneficial to your lifestyle and what you're trying to accomplish.
If you sat down long enough, you'll find where most of your distraction comes from.
Yeah.
Everybody, it comes from, you'll find that majority of it comes from certain places, right? And if you figure out where those 3 or 4 places are, then you can collapse it, right? Because if you know where it's coming from all the time, then you know how to collapse it. You know exactly what you need to do to set up a defense against it. And be, like you said, intentional.
And that's what you teach in that class.
Because even some of these apps, they hire behavioral psychologists to determine how to get you addicted.
Wow.
They literally hire people to tell them, how do I get them addicted to this particular app? I mean, there was one game where they had did a study, and kids were so addicted to it that when they went on vacation with their parents, They gave their phone to their friend to keep their streak going.
That is
Wow.
insane.
But they knew from the very beginning, they created the whole system,
Yeah.
and they knew it would create addiction. And so they did it on purpose.
That's crazy.
So if they're going to be that intentional about coming at my life,
Yeah.
then I'm going to be equally as
To
intentional
combat that.
to keep you up.
Because a teenager's like, I'll take the risk if I'm an emergency. I don't have my phone so long as my streak is going on social media. Yeah, that's extremely interesting.
I think it's not only technology, but going back to the question that Miss Holly had about, the difference between managing business and family, because sometimes a lot of distraction comes from family, especially if you're working from home. So I think, that's really good figuring that out.
And people say, I got kids and my kids don't understand. I have a 4-year-old. She knows not to touch the door of my office.
Oh, it's closed. Yeah.
She's been trained, and she knows if that office door is closed, I don't touch it. And so it just, people really underestimate how well you can train other people if you handle it properly. But yeah, you just, like you said, the family and business, you just have to train everybody. But if people think, because I remember years ago, I worked in real estate, and I was probably making $30,000, $40,000 a month easily. And I've had people, when I was a real estate, like, oh, when are you gonna get a real job? I'm like, I make more than you in 1 month than you make all year. You ask me when I'm gonna get a real job?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how much realer this
You
gets.
say never.
Yeah.
If that's
Yeah,
the
if
case,
that's the
I'll
case,
never get a
never.
real job.
But I think sometimes people, when you're self-employed, they don't think it's real.
Yeah. Right.
They just think, I don't know, it's like something you're doing, like a
Yeah.
fad.
Yeah.
And, my thing is, being self-employed is not for everybody because you get to choose which 80 hours a week you work.
Yeah.
That's the difference between a 9-to-5 and a self-employed person. And so it's not for everybody. It's a different lifestyle.